What it is? How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about product placement in movies. That's right, we're going to talk about all the things, all the hidden commercials and hidden products and items. You know, maybe they drank a bottle or two, maybe they had a piece of candy or something. We're going to talk about all the things that happen in TV and film. But if you want to hear what we have to say, sit back, relax, grab a snack, grab a beverage, and listen on in to the first ones to die. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to yet another episode of the First Ones to Die podcast. I am your host, Jerome Rhett, and if you're wondering why you're hearing my voice and not the voice of one Jonathan Keys, is because Jonathan is not here this week. He had other things to do, so it is only going to be me and, of course, the amazing and indelible Alex Andrade, who is also here. Alex, how are you doing?
Indelible?
Indelible.
Never.
Yes.
What does that mean? I've never been called that. Nor have I ever heard that word.
Indelible. Making marks like if we're describing it as an adjective for ink, it's making marks that cannot be removed. If we're talking people or other things, not able to be forgotten or removed.
Aw, that's sweet and an interesting word to be called. I will take it. I prefer words that are like a little more unique like that. That's using your degree there, Jerome. But I've been doing good. It's great to be back. We've been gone now 2 months, a month and a half, really. We usually take off January, but we all took a little extra time because, you know, life gets busy. Things happen, but we're back. And I'm excited to do it. And yeah, I'm ready to go. How are you doing, Jerome?
Doing good. It's been great. Been watching a lot of television. I've been mostly diving into Apple TV because I got a free 30-day trial through AMC Premiere. So I've just been using that account to watch a lot of stuff. So I finished all of Ted Lasso. It's a great show. It's fantastic.
Finally! God.
It's just an amazing show. I
so
do not
good.
understand what they've already they've talked about there being they've been greenlit for a season 4, which I'm like, what the hell, season 4? Without spoiling anything for those who haven't seen the show, I don't think they should do a season 4. I feel like the 3 seasons they've got are perfect.
So my issue with the season 4 coming up is that it's not going to have Ted. It's going to focus on the women's team, which cool, but it's also going to not have Jamie in it. It is just going to have the 3 main coaches, but like all the other like side cast favorites, they're not going to be there. And I get they're trying to make it a whole new show and its own show, but like it doesn't, like Ted Lasso doesn't feel like it needs a spinoff unless it's with Ted Lasso.
Right.
So
yeah, and especially because it's not like they didn't clearly mean for like the show to be done in the 3 seasons. Like the season 3 feels like the end of the show.
Yeah.
The entire universe. Like everything's all wrapped up. All the characters had their arcs, like complete themselves. Like it's all done. Even supporting characters that weren't important show up and get their finish of their arc.
That's what I was going to say. I just love that about Ted Lasso is that everybody had their own arc, even if they weren't important. Like, my favorite character to this day is still Trent Crimm. Love him. Absolutely love that man.
Trent Crimm is one of the most interesting characters because he's like, when I started the show, I'm like, he seems like a character who's not going to be really important. Just some guy. And then it's like, as the show goes on, it's like, no, Trent Crimm is very important, actually. He's a cool character.
It's because people, like myself, fell in love with him so hard that they were like, do you want to come back and do more? And he's like, yeah. And the guy, James Lance, is so funny during interviews and stuff. He's like so excited to talk about things. And like, yeah, like, but like characters like that got their own like arc and story, and it was properly fleshed out compared to like a lot of shows that are like, we really like this side character. Yeah, but you're going to see them maybe 2 episodes and then never see them again.
Yeah, although I think for me, the biggest things is, one, I was talking about my undiscovered love for Aubrey Plaza up until like I watched Megalopolis, and I was like, man, I didn't realize how much I like Aubrey Plaza till now.
Really? Because you You talked to we could go through
I meant
some
like
tapes.
I
You
meant in
talked
a
to her
more
about it
like
before.
celebrity crush way, not a like, man, you're a great actor and I love your work. This is more like, now it's like, man, I love the person. Like in a like, if Aubrey Plaza, which also shout out to her because she's had a rough year. Her husband passed away earlier this year. Had the same effect in the show with Juno Temple, another actress where I'm like, I like Juno Temple in almost anything I've ever seen her in, and then I forgot she existed for a while, and then as I was watching Ted Lasso, I'm like, dang man, Juno Temple, gorgeous. Like, great actress, so funny, just so funny. She's hilarious.
She's in Fargo.
Although, yeah, I haven't watched any of Fargo. Like,
really,
any of the TV show. I've seen the movie, but I haven't watched.
I've been yelling at you to
the
watch Ted Lasso
series.
for like 2 years. Will you give Fargo a chance then? Because I'm getting tired of yelling.
Fargo a chance. Like, although the crush, my real crush though for the whole show, Hannah Waddingham as Rebecca. Every time I saw her on screen, I was like, God dang it, this woman is so dang beautiful. I don't know. I don't think I could function on this set every day she came in. I'd just be like, "There's a goddess on the set. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can make it through these lines."
Yeah,
because she's so good.
She is so good.
So good. But it's a great show, fantastic show, and easily my favorite. Fun fact, video game wise, is that I think FIFA 23. They added AFC Richmond as a playable team and Ted Lasso as a manager you can assign to your teams. Although they don't have every player. Like, they had like only the ones that were like the most important, like Isaac, Zero, Jamie, Roy, Bumbercatch, Colin, the Dutch dude. He's in there, I think.
You know, I don't remember his name, but I always called him the Dutch dude.
And oh yeah, Sam, of course. You got Sam and Danny.
I love Danny.
Yeah. So like and then like the rest of the team, which I get it. The rest of the team, we don't know their names, but the rest of the team is on the team. Like, they're not in the show. Yeah, they're second team. But yeah, so I finished Ted Lasso, and then watched and then caught up rather to Severance. So I'm all caught up, excited for the next episode when that comes out on Friday.
I have only gotten to the second episode of the first season. I don't know what it is about that show. Like, I find it interesting. As somebody who works in an office, the whole concept is actually quite interesting, the introduction of it. But I just can't keep going for some reason. Like,
it's so good. It's such an interesting world. I love the characters, and I think I also love the commentary on office culture that's within the show, that's baked in underneath, the mystery and everything. And then also, it's surprisingly funny. Like the show is unwittingly funny. It's very much like that dark comedy type thing where it's like there's a lot of mystery and darkness surrounding the show, and then like in between that is also these small nuggets of comedy or quirkiness that's like that you just have to laugh at, and you're like, I don't understand this balance, but I like it.
No, I get that, because I do work in an office, and sometimes our jokes are like super funny to us, and I'm like, oh, just that was stupid though. That wasn't a real joke. That wasn't funny. Like, I made a joke about bones, and everybody else laughed, and I was like, yeah. But I'm like, if I go and tell that to our friend group, everybody's gonna be like, I don't get it. I'm like, it's a broken bone. Get it? No, nobody understands why that's funny. Okay, fine. I'll be alone in my humor.
Yeah, there's so that's been great, and then also been watching a lot of movies. We actually got over the break, me and you, Alex, we saw Love Hurts together.
Which is not one of my favorite movies. I don't care what you say.
You like it because it's bad.
So bad. So bad. It's so good though. My like, the main story, I'm going to say this on my side. The main story wasn't so horrible. It was that Beeline story that was just like, it pushed me over the edge to be like, this, I love, what train wreck, whatever this is. I love it. With oh my god, what was her name? The B storyline where the office girl falls in love with the assassin after reading after reading the Raven's poetry. He is an assassin, but it was called Love Hurts. Love Hurt or Love Hurts?
Yeah, Love Hurts.
Love Hurts. Okay, so I have a habit of adding S's to things. A realtor is pulled back into the life he left behind after his former partner in crime resurfaces with an ominous message. With his crime lord brother also on his trail, he must confront his past and the history he never fully buried. Which, given the description, it sounds, or the synopsis is like good. That sounds like really interesting. It's very campy. It's very, doesn't take itself seriously. And I enjoyed it. I don't care what you say. I thought it was good. I loved it.
Listen, we can acknowledge that it's bad and still say we had a good time watching it. All right. They're not mutually exclusive.
There was another movie I recently saw that was bad too. The Monkey.
Oh, did you see it? I'd still have to see it. I was like, I still want to see it. Like, although I haven't really watched any reviews about it or anything, but it's like
it's stupid.
Yeah,
it's stupid. But I will say, they get creative in the movie. Spoiler: there is a lot of death in this film. However,
I've heard it's like Final Destination a little bit.
Yes,
there's like a lot of these coincidental deaths, but really it's like super like
it's set up,
outlandish of how the coincidences happen.
None of the deaths are the same. They're all very creative in their own way. So I will give it up to the writers for creating all these very unique deaths and everything. And yeah, the storyline is interesting to say the least. And it is not horrible. It could have been better, but I think they played into the fact that it was going to be more silly than scary sometimes. So I think the and you know who's in that? Adam Scott.
Oh, interesting. I knew Theo James was in it. Didn't know Adam Scott was in there.
Pops up randomly. I was like, what are you doing here? So.
Yeah, which is funny because we have a Final Destination movie coming out this year as well. Final Destination Bloodlines. They released a trailer, I think, in December, I think, or earlier last month.
It was it was the end of January. Yes. Death runs in the family is their tagline. Yeah,
so I'm thinking so it'll be funny if Final Destination comes out and is like, look, you don't know how to do it, all right? Let me show you how to do this, okay? Like, I'm the originator of this shit. Move out the way.
Did you see the preview for it?
Mm-hmm. Which I'm like, I wonder if this will make people not get tattoos ever again.
No. It was the septum ring. So the guy ends up dying because of the septum ring. I did see a lot of people on TikTok. They watched the preview and they're just like, or they started turning their septum rings, backwards. They're like, okay.
See, but that's the thing. Final Destination is good for making you not want to do stuff because I still to this day don't drive behind log trucks. The second I see one, I'm like, nope. Turn myself on. Go, I'm gonna move into the other lane, turn away, do something else. Can't do that because I've seen Final Destination 2 far too many times to know how this song and dance goes. Nope. Nope.
And that's so funny that it comes from Final Destination 2. I don't think there was a death in Final Destination 1 that made everybody like, I mean, there are plenty from like all the other ones where I'm like, yeah, nope. Like, I still don't want to get acupuncture because of Final Destination 6.
Yeah.
That guy rolls off all of it. I'm like, yeah, I'm just on the chance the table's going to break and I pierce myself with a bunch of little needles. No, thank you. I'm good.
Yep. Also, thinking of movies I did watch also that I wasn't like super jazzed about. It wasn't bad, but I was like, this is a shame. Captain America. I think I told you a little bit about it when we went and saw Love Hurts. Like, I saw Captain America Brave New World. I wanted so badly to like that movie. Like, really badly. And I don't hate it, but it definitely isn't like up to snuff, I felt like. And I think mainly it's because of a lot of the reshoots and stuff like muddled the plot far too much. And on top of that, there's like characters that don't feel like they need to be there. And then they gave away like the big climax because Red Hulk is the big selling point for the movie. He's the big climax of the movie. So but since he's the big climax, you're waiting all this movie for Red Hulk only for it to be at the end. And then when it happens, you're like, that was it? All right. Well, I thought there was going to be more. like that's.
I think Marvel needs to take a break. They need to
That's
go
what
away.
I said. When after Endgame was over, I was like, this is the perfect ending for this 11-year tapestry of movies you set up. Not every movie's been gold, but every movie has been decent enough to get us to this point to have this satisfying conclusion. All these actors are great. All these characters are fantastic. This is perfect. This is the perfect way to end this series of movies. Let's take a break. and then maybe come back, maybe start over, or maybe like do some like disparate characters that really wouldn't connect with the universe very well, but you still want to do those movies, like something like that. And then when they were like, no, we're going to keep going, baby. We're going to keep making stuff. We're going to make TV shows now too. And I'm like, don't do that. You don't need to do that. Like, why ruin a good thing? And that's all they've done since then, is ruin a good thing.
TV shows, it's like, cool, fine, like, go with it. But like, yeah, when they started doing like, oh, this is stage 5, this is stage 6, it's like, the fact that you're already telling us, one, I'm not going to be surprised by anything now, which just dampens everything. Now I'm like, oh, I got to wait till 2028 for this movie. I'm not going to care by then. Do you know how fast interests change? How quickly things, the genres change? Right now we're seeing a spike in horror films. And we've also started seeing more animations again. Superhero movies are not going to be a thing in like a couple years.
Well, also the only one that's problem is
popping out.
They put out too much and too soon. Like, because before it was just movies. So even though we were getting like 3 movies a year, we were getting just 3 movies a year. Yeah. So 3 times out of the year, you're going to see something Marvel related. When they did the TV shows, it's like, okay, we're now getting 3 movies a year and a TV series in between those 3 movies. So we're seeing Marvel content almost the entire year around. That's too much. So by the time any of the Marvel stuff comes up, it doesn't feel special anymore. It feels boring, especially if it's not well done. And unfortunately, they've had more misses than hits as of late. So I like, because people were talking about how Captain America didn't do so well in the box office either. And they were like, see, it's because he's Black Captain America. I'm like, it has nothing to do with him being black. It has everything to do with the fact that like Marvel's burned all of the goodwill they had during those Endgame years, where people were like, yeah, well, this movie wasn't as great, but it's still Marvel. Like, I'm still going to watch anything they make. Now that's gone, because you've put out so many like subpar projects that people are like, if you're making a movie, you better make a good movie. And so if it's subpar like Captain America is, they don't care. They're not going to watch it, or they're not going to tell their friends to watch it. They're going to be like, hey, y'all, don't even worry about it. Wait for streaming. It's going to be on Disney Plus in like 6 weeks. We'll watch it then.
It's also, they're not listening to their fans at all. Like, there's been certain controversies that the fans are telling them straight out, hey, we're not going to watch your movie. Simple as that, because of this, A or B reason. And Marvel doesn't listen. And then they're shocked when they're doing so shitty in the box office. They're shocked when people are literally telling them straight out, hey, this actor's problematic. Hey, this is an issue. Hey, these are reasons we're also not going to give you our money. And they're like, it'll be fine. People will see it because it's a Marvel movie. Clearly not.
Exactly.
People are done with your bullshit. People are not going to, with everything now going on in the world, things are going to get a lot harder and a lot tighter with our wallets. I'm not going to go waste time to go see a movie with actors I know are straight up racist, actors who have said something horribly or terrifyingly sexist, or go to studios that are like forgiving of everything and are just as horrible. I'm not going to waste my time on that. I'm going to go find independent companies that are like much better, and more stories are unique. And if I do want to read comics or see comics, I'll just go buy the comics now, because it's like better, because those stories are actually fleshed out by real artists now instead of just random, the same director over and over doing the same thing. Those are like better stories, unique stories that you're getting. It's almost time to like go back to the pages instead of the movie screens. Before it was exciting to see the movies. Now I'm more excited to be like, oh, well, I'm going to Comic-Con on Saturday. The Seattle Comic-Con. I'll be there on March 8th.
I wish I could go. I couldn't get no tickets, and honestly, I'm kind of busy. I'm far too busy to go, so we can't go this year.
I got it months in advance, which I'm glad I did, because usually I get it kind of like 2 or so months. But it all sold out really quickly, which I was surprised.
Well, things are going back to normal, and especially with the new convention center out here that they're using.
I hate it.
I think people like that building more.
I hate it.
The you don't like it?
I hate it.
The only thing I don't like about it is the escalators. I don't like the traversal of it. I felt like the traversal back when it was in the other convention center, while it was like, it was just crazy straight in the sense that it was like really tight in there. It was a straightaway. All you had to do was walk on one floor for most of everything. Like now it's like there's like 4 or 5 floors you have to travel across to do things.
They put like the main floor like in the basement, which I hate it because there's no windows, there's nothing, very tight, and it's very enclosed. And I don't know if anybody has really gone to conventions and stuff, but there are certain people at conventions that don't shower beforehand.
Yo, for real, I like this is the one thing about the nerd culture that I hate the most is like, and I don't mind saying it because I've been in it now like for my entire life. Listen, if you're a nerd out there and you come into the conventions, whether it be Comic-Con, SakuraCon, PAX, whatever it is, first of all, take you a shower. Then secondly, put on some damn deodorant, okay? Some strong stuff if you need it to be a little bit stronger. But all I'm saying is, like, some of y'all be out here stanking.
And I had this argument with somebody recently, and they're like, oh, it's actually really just the people in cosplay because they're carrying. I was like, no. Do you think the people who spend hours, days crafting this gorgeous cosplay, they're going to ruin it with their sweat and smell? Absolutely not. They're the ones probably who smell the best because they don't want to ruin their costume with sweat stains or sweat smell. But yeah, there was one time we were in Artist Alley. It was really great. And the person in front of us, the stench was so strong. I had to like step back because I was like, usually it's like, okay, hold your breath a little or something. But the stench from them was so strong. I was like, I have to step aside. I can't keep walking behind this person. And it's like, you are in a tight gathering space. It's not even just like out in public. You are in a very enclosed, very tight. You're all walking like shoulder to shoulder. And just like, it's nice to be aware of other people too. But
like, I get it. It's hot in there sometimes. So, you know, you'll be sweating during the day. So I get it. But it's a thing where it's like there's a difference between like you're smelling because, you know, it's hot and you were sweating that day. The way like some of these people be smelling, I'm like, no, it's that you didn't put on like deodorant this morning.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Because there's no way you'd smell this bad.
Yeah.
Like from just being in this hot convention center.
Yeah. And it's just, it gets a little ridiculous.
Unless you actually do have a medical issue, in which case, then that's a different problem. And we're not talking about you.
Yeah, that's a whole different issue. We're talking about the people who can, you know, shower and should be socially aware of it. Because I know I sweat a little more than normal just because I am a bigger person.
Oh, I run hot. I carry deodorant on me like in my bag all the time because I sweat so much like throughout the day. I
have one in my office because sometimes my office, the temperature sucks. It gets really warm in there. I wear a lot of sweaters and I'm like, okay, I think I just got to apply a little more. And I get like really sweated. I'm totally aware of that. I'm the same thing, but I take precautions because like I said, I'm a bigger person too. I get it. Sometimes you run a little hot because you got that extra fat. It's okay. But I am socially aware of what I smell like too.
But it's like, yeah, the nerd stuff is like I'm wanting them to step up their game as far as like these movies and stuff, which is why I have so much faith in Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four, because those movies look like they have a lot more. A, they had more of a plan than Captain America did, and B, it looks like they really put a lot of thought into both those movies. So I'm hoping they're good. If they're not, though, but I'm not holding my breath, and that's a sad thing to say because it used to be the other way around with Marvel. Also, real quick. We also got to talk about another thing that happened while we were gone. The Oscars. The Academy Awards happened. So just going to go through a quick recap of just the big awards. Nothing crazy. We're not going to go into too much detail, but just like stuff to talk about from the Oscars. First is we're going to do the actor and actresses in leading and supporting role. First of all, Adrian Brody won actor in the leading role and took up all the damn time with his speech.
Hold on. I'd like to first talk about how he spat his gum out and threw it at his girlfriend. What? Swallow it. It's gum. I mean, it's not going to kill you. It's a little piece of Trident. Swallow it.
Like,
foreshadowing of our topic, product placement.
Mind you, I didn't watch his whole speech, but just hearing just bits and pieces. Did you have time to? That's true. I was just like, and then the fact that they were playing the music, he's talking about, hey, shut the music off. Okay, shut it off. I've done this before. I got time. It's like, no, you don't. If they're playing the music, that means your time is up. Wrap it up, Adrian. Like you've been on the Oscar stage before. It's not like this is new.
What I love is during the Actors Guild Award, it was not Macaulay Culkin, his brother.
Kieran Culkin?
Kieran Culkin, I think, who called him out, who called him out about the time frame, too. He made that joke about, like, oh, don't worry, I know speeches are only this long. Adrian Brody. So he, like, straight up called him out two award shows beforehand. And then he goes and actually does it at the Oscars. I don't actually know who won. Let me look that up. But go on.
But Kieran Culkin, speaking of him, also won actor in a supporting role. Gave a really great joke about his wife. Apparently, him and his wife, she made like a bet with him that because Kieran Culkin was like, "I want more kids," because they have 3 kids now. So she was like, at least I think they have 3 kids currently. And he wanted another kid. And she was like, I'll give you another kid when you win an Oscar. So he was joking about that on the on the stage, which I'm like, well, you got to put your money where your mouth is.
They only have, oh my God. No, that's siblings. Oh, I got scared. I was like,
no, that's, yeah.
Shit,
I also
got,
looked at that. Like, that's his siblings. Yeah. He's a lot. And almost all of them, I think, do work in the industry, I think.
Yeah, they mostly do.
He's got 2
he's
kids.
only got 2 kids.
Bad.
2
So
kids.
he's got 2 kids.
No, I scared myself. I was like, damn.
Guess they got 2 more on the way. 2 more to make it, rather. Actors in a leading role. We got Mikey Madison for Honora, which I still haven't watched Honora, but I will watch it. I just got to make time. But good for her. You know, she is like, from what I've heard about Honora, she's amazing in it. That's from what I hear. So I'm excited to watch it. I do wish Demi Moore had won it for The Substance, but that's just me personally, you know, because I love that movie so much. Nonetheless, Mike Madison got it. And of the one award that I thought this movie deserved and earned, Zoe Saldana won for Emilia Perez. Have you seen that movie yet on Netflix?
No, there's a reason why.
I mean, I get it. It's not good. And now, granted, from my perspective, it's not the worst movie in the world like everybody's trying to say it is, or rather the internet thinks it is. But I do think after watching it, I'm like, despite it being a very just like middle of the road, boring movie to me, the trans community and the Mexican community have every right to be as pissed as they are at that movie. And that's why I'm like, they're the only communities I feel like have a fair critique of this movie from a legit place, because the trans representation is bullshit in that movie. And the way they represent Mexico especially is bullshit in that movie.
It's also only got 1 Mexican in that whole film.
But
according to Zoe Saldana, it's not about Mexicans or trans people. So you should all just forget
that's the thing. Zoe, I'm like, if I was Zoe, I would have just took my award and been like, all right, y'all, I'm out. Because I'm like, the only reason I'm like, it's the only award it earned as far as like nomination. I didn't know if she was going to win it. But as far as nomination, I was like, I'll at least accept that one because Zoe did do a great job in the movie. Out of all the actresses in that movie, she's the one I felt like actually deserved to be nominated for an Oscar. But at the same time, her winning the award, I'm like, I don't agree with that so much as like considering that if she's going to be the one you deem as the winner with her, like for being in this subpar ass musical that she was in, Ariana Grande then should have took the damn award because she was in the better musical that came out in the same year. Yeah. And performed on that Oscar stage. She was primed right there to get the damn thing. I don't understand it. It should have been Ariana Grande. That's just me personally, but also because I haven't watched the other movies in the category. So because I haven't watched The Complete Unknown, The Brood.
I watched Conclave. It was good. I don't think it was award-winning good. Because it talks about the corruption of the Catholic Church and picking the Pope and everything like that.
Yeah, based off.
But yeah, but I feel like, what is it? Small Thing? Not small. It's not called Small Things. It's with I'm forgetting.
Yeah, you're talking about that movie with yeah.
See, pardon me.
I know his name.
It's based in in a small Ireland village where the Catholic Church basically comes in, and it's those reformatory schools where they just take a bunch of children and beat the loving crap out of them. And many have been found in like Canada with mass graves. Oh God, it is a very good movie. I watched it, and if you watch it, if we get the name,
Cillian Murphy is the name of the main
Cillian
guy,
Murphy.
and
What's the
Small Things
movie?
Like These is the name of the movie. Yeah.
I got small things like these. It will break your heart. It will like go in there and just tear it apart. Which that movie should have won some awards because it was amazing. Did it come out in 2025? No, it was in 2020. Well, it was at the end of 2024.
It may have missed the deadline,
marker.
so it might be
Yeah.
in the Oscars for next year.
That movie definitely deserves an Oscar because it just breaks you. But Conclave, although very good, movies
Yeah, it
exposing
came
the
out
Catholic.
like
Oh,
Small Things Like These came out November 8th, so it probably will be in the Oscars for next year. Probably.
yeah, that one definitely deserves an award. For Conclave, I mean, for exposing the Catholic Church and corruption and like movies like that, it kind of falls behind Spotlight.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so it's like,
Well, that's interesting though, because Spotlight did win. Like, didn't that win Best Picture?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's another movie kind of talking about the corruption of it, but like everybody knows the corruption. But like one movie that hits you
Gotcha.
really hard is like Spotlight. That was like, damn, that's a movie.
Gotcha.
Which recommend everybody to go see or watch.
But Flow won, excuse me, for best like animated feature film, which is great. I'm also glad to see like between Flow and I think it was it Robot Dreams last year. I'm glad to see these movies that are not like from the big animation tentpole studios like winning these awards. Not because like I just want to see them fail, but because I'm like, I hope this puts a fire under you guys' butts to start really like getting back to doing what you do best, like innovating the animation field. In the last couple of years, I don't think Disney has won animated feature film. Or no, last year was the Boy and the Heron. And then like which is a Studio Ghibli film. And then I think the year before that was Spider-Verse. So it's like I'm liking that Disney in particular, but also other studios, because also on here is The Wild Robot from DreamWorks, which I hear is good, but even Wild Robot, I'm like, this doesn't look like groundbreaking animation, like the art form of animation. And
DreamWorks
so it's like,
scaling behind because have you seen the Shrek 5 trailer?
they took
out every like detailing. They just made everything like a lot more smoother. They just took out a lot of the extra little details.
Well, no,
That's
like
what I've
it,
noticed.
like in the clothing, in the face a little bit maybe, but the clothing wise, the leather looks really good. The cloth looks really good. The hair looks fantastic. Like I think it's weird with the new Shrek look, because I think the half of the problem is it looks more cartoony. Number one,
It definitely does.
and number two, it's way brighter. Which I think the thing about Shrek that was interesting is that it was a lot darker. It was a lot more, like as far as the lighting goes, it was a lot more shades of, a lot more shadows, a lot more shades.
Well, yeah,
stuff like
and that
this
gave
is
it
way like
more details. That's why I said things look like a lot more smoothed out. Like they got like a bright light put on them.
yeah,
like a ring light.
definitely. Mm-hmm. And then skipping ahead here, we're gonna directing went to Anora as well. We also. The Substance did win for makeup and hairstyling, which I was like, at the very least, it should win for that. Because the makeup and hairstyling in The Substance is top notch, especially the makeup. They did such a good job.
I'm so good to watch that. I need to watch it.
And then Best Picture was, of course, Anora sweeping. Anora nearly swept on everything. Like it really did like pick up almost everything. And last but not least, we also got to talk about writing. Conclave did win for best for writing for adapted screenplay, and then Anora won for writing for original screenplay, which I think also should have went to The Substance, because I'm like, that movie is so creative and interesting, but again, a little bit of a bias, but nonetheless, that's the 2025 Oscars, or the 97th Academy Awards, whichever one you want to say. Overall, I'm just glad, honestly, like the people who won, like, cool, I guess, but if nothing else, I'm just glad Emilia Perez did not win, because I don't think we needed the drama
No.
and the stress that came behind that movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
and
was
also
like
Coney
nobody
did a
on
great
that
job
team
posting.
had a PR person. Like it's like they fired all their PR people just like days before everything.
Well, half the problem is that the movie was flawed upon creation.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
it already was like misguided in that it was because even the whole trans thing is an afterthought. Like the original script, according to reports, was that it was going to be a story about a crime boss who poses as a woman to escape his enemies. And then I think either they got Carla Sofia Gascon to play the main character, or somebody else was who's trans was there, but they were the ones that were like, hey, you should maybe add more trans elements to this, because this just sounds like you're just using like transgender issues as like a scapegoat and you're not taking it seriously. So then he changed the script to be like, yeah, okay, sure. But in that, all he did was just add a few more elements within the songs where they talk about things like having a soul and like, can you change who you are? But it's like, but there's still the idea of, yes, Amelia Perez transitioned into being Amelia Perez, but she's still that crime boss she was when she was a cisgendered man back in the day. And it's like, so everything you're trying to say about transitioning like isn't there. Like it's already misguided from the premise alone. And then you add these like mediocre to bad music numbers in between that, and then also this like lazy depiction of Mexico City. And and then of course the cartel stuff, which the cartel stuff especially, the whole movie when they're like when they're digging up bodies from cartel hits, I'm like, I'm sorry, is the cartel at any point going to stop this? Because I feel like they would. Like, I don't know much about the cartel, but what I do know is if you start digging up bodies that they've intentionally buried, they're going to have an issue with that. Is that going to come up in this plot at any point in time? No.
Is the dangers of the actual cartel going to come up in this plot at any time?
Right. Well, especially because they don't until they do, but not because of anything Amelia Perez does, but rather because a dude who's in love with Selena Gomez's character, who Amelia Perez also kind of loves in a way, because that's that's her former wife back before she transitioned, like, is getting revenge, not because of all of the like undoing of the cartel stuff that Amelia Perez has been doing for the entire plot of the movie, which I'm like, which make more sense and be more thematically involved with what you're trying to say. So it's the whole movie is a misguided mess of like a person who clearly was just like, you know what, I want to do a movie about Mexico without doing any research about Mexico. Because I've seen movies with Mexico in it, so I know how Mexico is, and that's pretty much and even if that's not as much research as he did, that's as much research as it feels like he did based off the movie. Is like, I've seen a movie with cartels in it and movies about Mexico, so that's got to be what it's like, right? It's like, whatever you say, French man who's never been to Mexico before.
Barely hired anybody who speaks Spanish even on the cast.
Especially, like, that was the other thing too. There's like everybody's speaking different dialects of Spanish, and even I, as a person who's not a Spanish speaker, knows that.
Yeah,
and can tell.
So many different dialects of Spanish, and it's even within just Mexico alone. You'll just hear it, but like there's also like Spaniard Spanish, and there's like Argentinian Spanish, and then you go to Mexico, and there's just like America, it's got all these layers of Spanish, whether you're growing up by the coast or you're growing up, by the borderlands or this straight in the middle. It's like every other country in the world. But I digress. Yeah, that movie, I like tried to watch like a minute of it. I'm like, no, this does not seem worth my time. And then luckily I read more reviews on it, and I was like, yeah, I'm really happy I didn't waste my time on this.
Yeah, especially the songs too. They're not great.
I kept forgetting that there's songs in there. That's such a stupid thing.
Well, half of them aren't even songs. They're just like talk singing their way through them. So half of
like
them aren't
Pierce
even
Brosnan
real, like,
singing.
a little bit, yeah. Like they're not even really like actual songs. There's one in particular where it's like the it's this doctor and Zoe Saldana are talking about like having a soul basically, and like, you know, transitioning and things. Especially
I love that that's her number instead of the trans woman's number. That's her number.
Well, because like the plot is that she's a lawyer who's been hired to go do some research to help find like a doctor and other like people who will help with getting the operations for this cartel boss, because the cartel boss can't do it himself because people will see him, you know, going to these various places. So he's hiring a middleman or middlewoman in this case to go do those things for him. But it only makes me laugh because like the boss is like, she's like, well, are you sure you want to do this? And the boss is like, yeah, I've already started. See, look, and opens his shirt. And it's supposed to be like this really big scene. But if you know anything about like, you know, like plastic surgery and stuff, you're like, okay, you have boobs. Cool. But why are you guys acting like it's bigger than that? And so when she's like, you haven't seen when she's talking to the doctor during this music number, being like, you haven't seen what I've seen. And I'm like, are you saying that just because you've seen that he's already gotten a breast implant, that's enough for you to be like, that's what we're talking about here? It's like, okay, but that's a plastic surgery thing. Why don't you like, that's why it feels weird, because it's like the trans experience is bigger than just a surgery. You know that, right? Like, why are you just talking about that part of it? Because that's the only part you've seen. There's no scene where the cartel boss explaining why, like, their trans experience from that point before surgery or anything like that, or research. None of those things are in the movie.
I have a question. Is the cartel boss still a cartel boss while all this is going on?
No. Well,
okay.
Yeah. Well, before they get the surgeries, yes. After the surgeries happen, no. Then they quit and they fake their death and just like quit to be Amelia Perez.
Before or after the breast, are they still cartel boss?
After, yeah, they're still a cartel boss. I guess they just
cartel boss with the breast.
Yeah.
So, I want to make sure I understand this correctly. This dangerous cartel leader, gang boss, before confirming that he could have a surgeon to do the bottom half, which bottom half surgery is, you know, sometimes it's more difficult to get than top half surgery. Absolutely. Completely understand that. Before he decided to go ahead and get breasts, still look like a man, still work in the cartel as a boss.
He, like, the implication is that they basically don't get to see a lot of people. They like kind of operate in secret, so they're almost always like isolated. Right, because Selena Gomez is their wife, but as of late, the cartel boss has been very distant and kind of like off to the side and kind of isolated. So which leaves her Selena Gomez's character room to have an affair that she's been having while she's been married to the cartel boss that he hasn't really known about.
Right, but the cartel boss, by chance, if like a turf war broke out, or some rival part of the cartel, or somebody trying to just go up in the ranks of the cartel, decided to try to get at him, he just went ahead and got the top surgery done and thought, let me just hide away. They thought that was the process, instead of having a solid storyline where he would like to properly transition, and he thinks about this ahead of time.
Well, here's the thing. I assume that they've gotten top surgery. You don't see it. You see it from the angle you see it. You just see them like open their shirt from like the back, like, you know, you see their back of their head and stuff.
Okay.
And then Zoe Saldana has like a visceral reaction, like so I assume that is what it is, because I'm like if it's just scars, I mean, it'd be scars, but I don't think you'd be that shocked. And you wouldn't have also said I've already started and not have like something going on up here, maybe in some way, shape, or form.
Maybe it was supposed to imply that he cut off his dick.
No, because he hasn't. Because that's what he's asking her for, is bottom surgery. She's
no. I meant like he already attempted to do it.
No, he has to drop his pants, so no. But
no, he just opens up his shirt.
Just the shirt.
Okay, I think I'm trying to make it like maybe there's a reason, or here's an extra story.
But
Like,
see,
no,
but
I'm
that's the
putting
thing.
I'm putting too much depth into this, aren't I, compared to what is actually presented.
Well, no, because like there's also the song that I'm sure you've seen on TikTok of the like vaginoplasty is the name of the song, in which they have the whole song and dance where they're like, man to woman, woman to man, penis to vagina. Like that's, and it's said in that cadence. These are the lyrics of the actual song. And I was like, and it goes on and on like this, and it's so bad. And it's like, and a part of it is because it's a lot of foreign language. Like the reason that the song sounds the way it sounds is because it's a lot of foreign language singers saying this in English, which you can tell is not their first language. So it's why the English sounds a little awkward. But at the same time, though, lyrically, I feel like even if you were writing this, regardless of language, you could tell this is bad. It's like we did not write this well. So I like, you know, I mean, like, because for me, it's the thing of like that scene with the doctor or whatever would hit better if we knew more about this person's trans experience of like especially because I think that's an interesting idea. The idea of this person who's like a hardcore criminal, but is actually trans, like, and but they can't be that, especially given, you know, certain like, communities of color. Sexuality and being a part of the LGBT is even harder because for a lot of communities of color, not just Mexican, but also Black and Asian and others, that's not, you know, for a lot of us, that's not like very accepted in a lot of ways, especially when it comes to church and fusion with that. And I know for a lot of Mexican communities, Catholicism is a big thing, no different than with the Black community. Christianity is a big thing, and both of those two institutions don't look favorably upon those in the LGBT community, depending on who you ask. So I don't think it deserves all these Oscars that it's gotten, all these awards that it's gotten. Maybe like Zoe Saldana is the one because she does a lot of the work. Like she gets the most songs, she gets the most to do, despite the fact that the movie isn't about her, like her character. She does the most in the entire film. So I'm like, if there's one person to get an award for the movie, it's her, but only by the technicality that she did a lot of work. But then I saw who she was up against for the Oscar, and I was like, okay, no, she shouldn't win the category, but I think it's okay that she's in the category.
And it's just sad she's fired her PR beforehand, because that's the only reason she would say such stupid stuff afterwards at her acceptance.
Yeah.
But let's move on from her.
But anyway, so that was the Oscars, and I guess a little bit about Amelia Perez. But moving on, let's talk about some other commercialism in a different way. Product placement in media. It's a thing that happens all the time. For those that are unaware what we're talking about, if you've watched a TV show, much like we're doing now with a Cobalt tape measure, apparently.
Hey, it's a good brand. I got it from Lowe's. It is 25 feet and retractable. See? Like that.
But, so First Ones to Die, sponsored by Cobalt. Which would be funny if we were sponsored by a power tools company.
I would love it. I would totally use their tools, like start doing DIY projects. Like Cobalt, if you like, I would so be happy to do it.
But anyway, like you know, there's product placement all over the place, all over movies, television shows, and everything like that. And we're here to talk about some of the most egregious, some of the ones we remember, some of the ones we like, some of the ones we don't like, and so on and so forth. In this back half of this episode, after an hour of getting of us recording, like
this is a surprise. Like this isn't how it rolls. Season
our last episode to date was 4 hours long.
Yeah,
so,
I'm still working on that.
The audio version is up of Expectations 2025, but even still, if you made it all the way through, by the way, thanks a lot. We appreciate that. I'm sure Jasmine appreciates it. She can't tell you right now because she's not on this episode, but I'm sure she would say she appreciates it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we're going to jump on in. And this is, you know, and also potential spoilers, by the way, for the movies and TV shows we talk about, audience. So just know that like if you hear a title of a movie and you're like, like and we start talking about it in regards to talking about this product placement, we might spoil some stuff. So just know that, okay? But all these are old things. So if you haven't seen them by now, you probably weren't going to watch them anyway. Anyway, jumping in. I have a few articles up here that like are like 10 of the worst and stuff. So I have some stuff to lean on, but first I wanted to go to you, like if you, cause you're the one who brought this, this topic up. So I assume you have some to start off with.
So the reason I got this idea is because I'm rewatching Psych, and Psych is from back in like 2009, and
I think so.
There's a lot of product placement in that. There's like a Red Robin ones where Sean, the main character, goes like, oh, their shakes are 1 part ice cream, 2 parts fun. And then they talk about a pretzel brand that's like, you know, this is America's pretzel. Like they're shameless. And you can tell some of the actors definitely had a hard time doing. They kind of just like, but I'm trying to find the episode. I'll find it later. But there was an episode I was watching where Sean gets shot and he gets thrown in the back of a car. And Lassie is talking, the main detective is talking about his new car. He's like, well, I'm only driving my Ford car. It's so new, blah, blah, blah. And then I was watching a lot more episodes. They talk about Ford Focus so much in that show. Gus, who is Sean's psychic and the other part of the detective agency, talks about his Ford Focus. And he says, I'm sorry, from Dead Bear Walking, which was the last of our episode, he gets into his Ford Focus and he turns on the navigation system. He's like, this has the ability to even tell your horoscope. And then like a couple episodes later, it's the Ford Fusion gets named a lot by the last night Gus. His car's a little wrecked, but he's like, look at my Ford Fusion. Look at my Ford Fusion. He's like, look at everything inside and how like it's not working. And this is where, and he's like talking about all the features, all the little details and features. Another episode, Lasseter goes like, oh, look at my new Ford Fusion. So Ford Fusion apparently, I guess, came out that year or something, because like every other episode they were talking about the Ford Fusion. And then that reminded me of The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead had Kias, new Kias from the years, like Walking Dead happened in, I want to say 2011, you know, and the world ends in 2011. Suddenly they have Kias in season 3 from like 2015. The neatest cars are always Kias over and over. And in the Barbie movie, they had a straight up, was it Ford? I meant to look at that. I think it was a Honda. I don't remember. I forgot to look that one up. But they had a straight car commercial in the middle of the Barbie movie.
Well, see, here's the thing, though. That's the question, because also Barbie actually came up on which list is this? Is this the 10? Is it the 10 worst product placements list on?
Was it the Chanel stuff? Because Chanel was like,
it's on this one. It's number 3 on Collider's 10 worst, most painfully obvious product placements, and I don't feel like that's fair, because I'm like, the damn movie's a product placement. It's literally named after a product. It's the Barbie movie.
Doesn't count,
if there
though.
isn't product placement in Barbie the movie, I would be shocked, because it's the whole thing is a product placement. I feel like it's supposed to be.
Okay, no, there's product placement where like Barbie's holding the Chanel purse. Totally product placement. She's holding like a little can of Coke. Product placement. There's a straight up car commercial in the middle of that movie where they have a scene chase, and it's literally I want to say it's a Hyundai or Honda is driving, and suddenly the 2 cars that are following them, Hyundai, like 3 of them split perfect angle, them zooming and going under that thing, and like there's 3. Like, no, that was a straight up car commercial you just put in that movie. It lasted so much longer than it need to. It wasn't a flash or a product play. That was like a commercial right there. But yeah, it's because of Psych. I started thinking about all the car commercials I thought, and then I was like, we should talk about product placement, because product placement is so fun when you find it. You're just like, oh. Other times it like slips past you like really like cleanly, and you're like, okay, all right. And other times it's like I just recently had watched Madam Web like back in October.
Yeah, I was gonna say we got to talk about Madam Web with the Pepsi.
Pepsi
Saves the day.
She literally was constantly holding the can like this. No human holds their soda like this.
Well, yeah, how are we going to know what the product is, Alex, if she's not holding the Pepsi can like this, or even talking about Pepsi? Because when he offers her a beer, and she's like, "Do you look like I want a beer? I want a Pepsi, man." And it's like, there's no damn way if someone's offering you a cold beer after a long day of driving an ambulance and having to deal with, like, you know, people dying and the stress of that job and everything in between, you would turn down a beer for a cold Pepsi and then not drink it.
Yeah, hold it like this constantly. It was the claw hand for me. She never just held it like a normal, like maybe even like this. It was constantly like this or like this. Like it was a straight claw hand she was holding everything with. No
Although,
reason.
if you want to talk about car placement, you got to look no further, because this movie is also on all three of the lists. I pull up 3 different lists from 3 different publications, and all 3 of them, this movie came up, and it's Transformers: Age of Extinction. Which here's the thing about Transformers, right? Transformers already is a major product placement thing for two products in particular. Number one, any car brand. Like GMC, Chevy. I remember specifically Chevy because the new Camaro that is now like the current model Camaros that drive on the street, that model came out the year Transformers 1 came out for Bumblebee. So that model of car specifically, like, it feels like that movie was made specifically to sell that model of Camaro because it was brand spanking new. And it was everywhere, especially the paint job with the yellow, with the black stripes. Like, that was like the default version of that car when it came out. And so it's like, so already like they're selling all these cars. The second product, and people might take issue with this, but I feel like this is fair to call it this, is the U.S. military. Because Transformers, despite being a movie about fucking transforming robot cars, somehow had way more scenes about the U.S. military, more specifically the Army, all throughout all of the movies. Like, just heavy army placement. And I say it's a product because they're selling the idea of the army, not like the major reality of what it is to be in the Army, but rather like, man, you're going to be a badass. You're going to be out here kicking ass and shooting guns and explosions and helicopters and all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, but that's not what it is like to be in the Army every day. And also, this is fictional warfare. They're fighting robots. They're not fighting people.
Yeah, if the Army was to ever fight on American soil, that's mostly due to a coup or, you know, something happening bad on U.S. soil. Usually they fight in another country because we don't really fight on our own home turf.
So it's like, but Transformers: Age of Extinction is especially bad because at least the others, it's like, it was always cars, military, and then maybe like one other thing. Age of Extinction, there are commercials. There's a point where Stanley Tucci has the, like, that's one of the major stills. Stanley Tucci, when he has the, like, Transformium or whatever they call it, and it turns into a Beats pill, like, Bluetooth speaker that he's holding in his hand in front of the camera, like, Beats by Dre. And I think he says something like that, like Transformium, Beats by Dre. And then there's a Bud Light commercial too.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
The Bud Light truck, they crash into it. There's a whole scene, clips of Bud Light everywhere, and then Mark Wahlberg is like he says some one-liner, and then cracks open a bottle of Bud Light. It's jugs it down.
By the way, I saw that scene. I saw that scene particularly because somebody pointed out how bad Budweiser was a commercial in there. That's a twist off cap. The beer he grabs isn't even like a pop off or like gotta use bottle opener. That's a twist off, man. Why are you popping it off like that?
Especially, and then also there's that scene where I think it's. Is this Age of Extinction? This might not be Age of Extinction, but there's one Transformers movie where an Oreos machine comes to life. It becomes an Oreo transforming robot that's shooting cans at the vending machine. And it's like, Jesus Christ. Like, those Transformers movies, those Michael Bay Transformers movies were just egregious with product placement. Just so bad. And mind you, I get it, because that explains how the budget was so damn high, despite those movies being so bad. Because he just basically sold his soul to the devil and was just like, look, we will sell anything and everything if it means you're writing checks for us to make these movies.
Well, and then I saw somebody point out how, like, I like seeing it in older films when I rewatch older films too. Because it's so interesting to see what kind of slipped past you. Because, you know, you were either a kid, you didn't think about it, or just like, you know, it was like a good movie, like Independence Day with the Coca-Cola cans.
Yeah.
And the IBM, how he solves all the world's problems on an IBM computer.
Mm-hmm. Well, technology is a really interesting thing, because it's always interesting to see like how they do it. Like, for example, Sony, like all of their stuff, all of their movies and TV shows, they use all of their technology in it, like all their TVs, all their cell phones. My favorite is PlayStation, when they make PlayStation games, and they have like a gaming console, which all the game companies do this, but PlayStation is especially funny because they'll always only have a PlayStation. And I'm like, you know damn well in the real world, nobody has just one console. They either have a console and a PC, or both consoles, or maybe 3 or 4, but they almost always only got a PlayStation and nothing else.
Or you'll
in
see
the video games that they make.
In like movies and stuff, when it's the same thing in movies and shows, they'll only have the one console, usually PlayStation. They'll walk around with the controller. They're having a conversation with somebody in the house, and they walk around with the controller, like face out like this all the time. And it's like, okay, I get it. You're holding an Xbox controller. You're holding a PlayStation controller. Nobody's walking and talking with the controller straight out like this, like buttons out. That was like unnecessary.
Yeah, which, although this does lead to a question, right? Like, is it product placement if the movie is based off a product and they're selling that same product in the movie? Like, for example, in the movie Hitman, there's a scene where they're playing the game Hitman in the movie.
Like that's
is that product placement, or is that an Easter egg, or can they be both?
I don't feel like when it's so blatantly obvious like that, it's an Easter egg. Like with Barbie, you could say the same thing. It's almost like Josie and the Pussycats. That movie was product placement, but it was talking about product placement, but at the same time, it did product placement, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like Wayne's World.
Yeah, like Wayne's World. We're like, yeah. And they're like, we wouldn't do it for this Pizza Hut. I love the Pizza Hut one. That was like the eye contact he makes with you through the screen. I feel like it isn't it. Even if it's being pointed out, it still is product placement, because they could have chosen any brands to have in this movie as the joke product to point out, but it's still these Borgia corporations. Like with Josie and the Pussycats, Walmart could have done it, or, you know, at the time, Sears, Kmart, all those big brands were still there. But Target was a little lesser known during Josie and the Pussycats. It wasn't as popular as the departments, as from what I recall during that time. Walmart was, you know, above Target and all that stuff, and Target wasn't that like big of a store yet. And that was one of the main stores in Josie and the Pussycats. So it technically still is product placement, because it was still they're buying it to be that store, to be that company in that storyline.
Yeah, I was like, one of the ones that's on here that I also think about in regards to that is Man of Steel. With you know, the Zack Snyder Superman movie, because of Sears, yes, because they crashed through a Sears,
but the names seem perfectly.
Mm-hmm. And then they crashed into an IHOP as well, and I was like, which I'm like, good for you, IHOP, because you never get referenced in movies. I don't think I've ever seen a movie reference IHOP ever.
Because I don't feel like IHOP needs product placement. I don't know. Everybody, it's like, it's IHOP.
Well, I mean, Denny's thankfully got the Santa Claus. That was their product placement moment. To the point where literally the man says, we'll go to Denny's. They're always open.
That's true.
That's great. That's a great product placement line.
And that one was smooth. That's a smooth one, too.
Because it's a good joke as well. That's why it flows, because it's also a good joke. It's the same as like if there was a joke about 7-Eleven. Or actually, there was one like that of Rush Hour. There's a joke where like in Rush Hour 2, Don Cheadle's talking to Jackie Chan like in Mandarin. They're talking, like in Chinese, and then he says like, yeah, I call him 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven, yeah, because his mouth is always open. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, like simple ones like that are like good ones where it's like that just sounds like a one-liner.
Mm-hmm. Although I think it's bad. Is it good product play? I guess as long as the product is in the movie, I guess it doesn't matter. But Man of Steel, they like crash through the Sears and fight in an IHOP. And it's like, this is more of a Waffle House thing. I don't think this would go down in IHOP.
That's like
IHOP is more sophisticated than this. We're not throwing hands at IHOP.
No, but see, the thing is, the Waffle House employees would probably join the fight and win. They would be the victors. So they couldn't happen in a Waffle House. IHOP employees would probably, just leave. Waffle House employees would be like, it's like a new player entering the game. They got skills. Man of Steel ain't seen. So he's smart enough to know you don't face a Waffle House employee.
One that's also on here is Castaway, which I totally forgot about Castaway. But it's true. FedEx get paid a lot of money for that movie.
Oh, yeah. Like everything is always just FedEx. And what was the name of the volleyball? They probably paid a lot
Wilson.
of money to
yeah, because it's Wilson Volleyballs.
Oh yeah, Wilson Volleyballs. Duh. They paid a lot of money.
True.
People still
yell,
they
probably
Wilson.
paid a lot of money. Because it's like I'm sure FedEx made. I don't know if they made commercials, but I'm sure they had to. Of like, yeah, we're so good, we'll get to you even in a barren island with no civilization.
By the way, I hate FedEx. FedEx has screwed me over at every single turn and every time I've gotten a package out of them. So I will never go to FedEx. That's I don't know, reverse product placement or something. I don't care. FedEx is awful. Don't use them if you're mailing stuff.
I don't mind FedEx. I use them to ship a lot of packages, and normally I haven't had any problems. But mainly it's because I'm sending them to my mom. I don't receive a lot of FedEx. I just send a lot of FedEx.
See, I send my mom stuff a lot of stuff through UPS, and that's the only one I'm trusting right now. I don't trust FedEx.
The thing about product placement that I think is the most weird though is that like it's a slippery slope, right? Because like, just thinking about like Transformers and like how much product placement is in those movies, on one hand, it's easy to get a little like not upset, but like be like, Jesus Christ, what is with all of these products? But at the same time, especially as a person who's tried to who wants to eventually fund his own, creative film projects and things like that, it is honestly the easiest way to fund your stuff.
That's true.
Is to sign up with a product and be like, hey, listen, if you give me a check, I will make sure people know that your product helped make this. I mean, even for this podcast, right? Like the goal and dream is that maybe we get to a point where we can have sponsors that make it easier for us to do bigger and better things. But that also would require us to then have commercials that be like, hey, support this thing as well, because that's the agreement you're signing to. And it's kind of weird because it's it's on one hand, you don't want to do that. And when it comes to movies, I'm sure you don't want to have a scene because it takes you out of the scene to have a scene that just stops to be like, hey, y'all, real quick, before you go, M&Ms, get some today. Melting your mouth, they melt in your mouth. But not in your hand. That's the thing that is it takes you out of the scene. It takes you out of the moment of being a part of a show or being part of a movie. But you got to pay the bills. You got to pay your actors. You got to pay your production team. You got to make sure that you can fund everything. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to get products that are willing to or companies that are willing to do your stuff.
I actually read, because I looked into the psych thing, I think it was the Red Robin thing. They wanted the actor James, oh my goodness. I have all this stuff out and then I close my apps because I'm like, I'll remember it. I don't remember shit. I don't know why I was pretending like I'm going to. James Rodriguez, which he was originally James Roy Day, but they actually told him he needs to hide his Mexicanness. So he actually got rid of the Rodriguez, but he has been using it for the last few years, so very proud of him. He got into an argument with the network and Red Robin's because they wanted him to do such a blatant product placement tagline, a straight up you need to talk about our shakes this way, and he's like, that's just shitty writing there. That's just you're not even trying to trick the audience or like be like, hey, maybe think about, you're just straight up, doing a commercial. So he got in trouble with the network and eventually got changed around to like, he could say, oh, the shakes are one, scoop of ice cream and 2 scoops of awesomeness. He said it felt a little better, but he got in trouble with the network because of it, because there were just some product placements that are like, it's too much. It's like cool if you can fit it in there, but when you have like basically Riverdale is the greatest example of just such bad product placement. Archie's holding the Doritos bag. It's so neat and tuck. He's just holding it like this at the tip and pulls out one Dorito like this. And he sits like this. Or when, like this one I've seen shared all over social media everywhere, is when he's paying for drinks at a bar and he holds out, he's like, let me get the drinks. He's like, here's my chime card. And he like holds it out like this. And they pause on the chime card. And it's like a straight up 2 second hold before the bartender finally takes it away. And then when she returns, she's like, here's your chime card back. Who says that? So Riverdale has become one of those now great example of like how bad product placement is and how it's basically a product placement show. It's being held up only by the product placements. Because Riverdale was supposed to be this like dark version of, the Archie comics. It ended up being shit. They eventually became superheroes for a while. One of the main characters was a witch. There were biker gangs. Every season was I don't know what's going on. I stopped watching it after the first 2. And then like by the end, they're like, yeah, they turned into superheroes. I'm like, how? Weren't they just like witches last season or something?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. But that show was being straight up held by product placement that it was so bad and blatant. They weren't even trying to be pretending anymore. There was just like, look, here it is. We know you see it. We know it. We don't care anymore.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing is like, you don't want to like, cause I feel like the best product placement is ones where it's like a part of the story. Like I'm looking at the image for like Stranger Things, right? Where Eggo waffles became a big product placement for that show off the first season. But it was a cute thing because it was not so much a product placement because they just wanted Eggo to sponsor the movie, or the show, but because it actually is a part of the plot. Like she's and Eggos were big in the 80s, so it makes sense that it's like a big thing that like her first sweet treat is Eggo waffles.
And it was also appropriate to her age range. Because she's a kid and it's like Eggos compared to like if you just see an adult eating a bunch of fistfuls of Eggos. If you're eating Legos, that's a bad thing. Eggos, right. That person's like, you're thinking they're having a mental breakdown, they're repressed, something's going on, even if it's the 80s. But yeah, it was appropriate to her age where she's like, yeah, it's a sweet treat. It's Eggos.
But here's what's funny, right? That product placement makes sense, flows with the story, is great. Then you go to Stranger Things season 3. There's a product placement section that, first of all, feels like it comes out of nowhere because it's not even really applicable to the world around you, which is that Lucas is like does basically a commercial for New Coke, and it's supposed to be like a joke. But the thing is that A, the joke doesn't land that strong, and B, it straight up is a commercial down to him even holding the can and smiling at the camera like New Coke. And it's like, this one doesn't work. And you want to know why it doesn't work? Because you don't need to do this. Why are we doing this? The Eggos made sense because they were part of the story. This is not part of the story. This is just a distraction.
It becomes like in the Truman Show where the wife goes like, Ovaltine. Ovaltine's a great drink for your family and friends. And he's like, who the hell are you talking to?
Right.
What is this?
Very much so.
Ovaltine. It's got 30% less sugar. What does that matter to who? Yeah, it's such straight like lines where it's like, I would never talk to my friends about this. Like, as we go back to Cobalt really quick, I really like this brand. And you know what I say about this brand? Like, it's really cool. I drop it, it won't break, which is something I really need because I drop the shit out of stuff. That's how you talk about it, like a product you're excited about. Like, yeah, it's really cool, man. I've dropped this thing so many times. It's still solid. I really like it. And, like, it measures. That's it. That's a conversation about a product in a normal time, in, like, a normal way. I do like this, by the way. Cobalt's a really good brand if anybody's looking for tools.
But it's kind of a thing where it's like, because it's one of those things where it kind of hurts your soul a little bit from a creative standpoint to like see like all these, especially because what's really frustrating, right, is like one of the things major that I learned in school, which it's obvious, but it's one of those things where a lot of people don't think about it when you just watch movies or just watch TV, is that is the reason why a lot of people don't film things on location. Because if you're filming things on location, like anything and everything that's on screen, if depending on where you're distributing it, of course, if this is going to the movie theaters or going to television, you gotta clear and pay for, which means that if you're filming a scene that takes place on the streets of New York, because it takes place in New York, so why would you not film in the streets of New York? If you're going down a street and you're passing the Subway and the McDonald's and I don't know, like a newsstand with like the New York Times logo on the newspaper and all this stuff, all three of those companies need to be contacted, and immediately like you need to ask, hey, can we use your name in this project? And so it's like a thing where it's like it's almost an unavoidable thing that kind of feels like it could be stifling for creativity, that you have to like basically cater to all these production companies, like, or not production companies, all these companies and their products if you want to get things done. Or even just having donuts and shit, like unless you want to go through the effort and have the money to get a production team to make like a specialty box to put these donuts in, so you can say, yeah, they're donuts, but they're from like Krusty Kreme or something like that, like it's something dumb like that. If you don't have the time to do that or the talent to do that, you're like that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So it's easy. That's a lot more than just making a phone call to Krispy Kreme and being like, hey, listen, we'll just say it's Krispy Kreme and we'll put it on the screen, so that way we don't have to do the extra work, like,
And you could actually see that in a lot of lower budget films. They avoid, like if they're walking through a town, they avoid showing shop. They won't show the names of stores and places. They're like, oh, do you want to go to that new store that opened on the new deli that opened on, 26th Street? Oh, which deli? Oh, it was the one that's, that burned down by the dry cleaners that now is like this. And like, they'll give these like weird, vague descriptions and be like, oh yeah, let's go there, without actually ever saying the name. And I've seen that in like multiple things, especially with like New York style movies or TV shows. They're like, hey, let's go down to 26th Street to that deli, the one that has, the roaches, but it's fine because they got a cat bodega cat. They got a cat running around, so it's fine. I got my things mixed up there, but the message is clear in the end for me.
It's true.
It's been a while.
The bodega cat is a thing.
They're so cute.
You know what's funny? Small detour. In the Spider-Man games, of course, you're in New York because it's Spider-Man. In Spider-Man 1, you're just in regular New York proper. But in Spider-Man 2, or Spider-Man Miles Morales, which is the game in between Spider-Man's 1 and 2, like Sony's PS5 Spider-Mans, as Miles Morales, you get to actually explore Harlem and Brooklyn. They added those neighborhoods because, that's where Miles is from and that's where he lives. So he's like, and so you can also hang out at help out at one of the bodegas, and they have a cat named Spider-Man. Because the dude names the cat Spider-Man, and you do a mission for him where Spider-Man goes missing, so you as Spider-Man have to go find Spider-Man, and you do, and you bring him back, and then if you complete that mission, you unlock a costume called the bodega suit, and what the bodega suit is it's Miles in his Spider-Man costume with a hoodie on and a backpack. And in the backpack is his Spider-Man, the bodega cat, with a little Spider-Man mask on.
Stop. I think I've actually seen that somewhere. And you can swing around the
city with him.
I think I've seen that somewhere, but I thought it was just like a drawing or something. Stop. That's so cute.
It's super cute. And it's just like, it's so funny. And it's especially funny because like the cat interacts, like if you're swinging around the city, because of course, you're swinging upside down and stuff. The cat like ducks into the bag and stuff. And then also there's a finishing move you can do, because there's finishers in the game. So there's a finishing move you could do where you punch the bad guys and the cat comes out the bag and slashes the face and stuff. So it's like you get to hang out with this cat kicking ass in New York City, and it's super cute.
Dream. That's
Hold on, I actually found a little picture
Oh,
of
shoot.
it.
I think I've seen it before, but
Yeah, there he is.
yeah, I've
There's
seen it.
There's
Oh,
Spider-Man.
stop it. Oh, it's an orange cat too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it looks like
Yeah.
Mr. Cheddar, except Mr. Cheddar
Ye-
is not that veteran. Will you let me put a spider mask on you? He's running away.
I guess that's a no.
He's like, wait.
He's like, no, I want nothing to do with that.
Oh.
Yeah, Teo's bodega, like Teo's grocery and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, if you help Teo, you get Spider-Man, the cat.
I would help Teo.
to go around the city and fight crime. It's very cute. But yeah, I like product placement is one of those things where it's hard, it's rough, right? Because you don't want to like quote unquote sell out, so to speak, to have products in your movie and especially have just egregious scenes. But I guess it's like if you do it, you just got to like do it in a way that's creative. Find a way to not make it so blatant.
Yeah.
Because when you do that, then it feels cheap.
Yeah. Which, yeah, you just have them hold the products normally. I get like it's got to be front to label, but that's a big thing that people notice nowadays. It's the way they're holding the product. That's what you're usually like with Madam Web. It's the claw hand. With Archie, it's the holding the bag so pristinely, and like this that you're slipping your hand in so nobody does that. Mm-hmm. It's the way that the person is constantly holding a drink but never opening it, or they're just like moving something constantly to frame.
It's just for me, I'm like, make it natural. First of all, like make it a part of the plot, like the Eggo waffles of Stranger Things. Like that's perfect product placement because your main character is eating the product, but also B, like it's important to what's happening. Like they need a sweet treat to eat. What are they eating? Like, okay, why don't we write in the script they're eating Eggo waffles because those are big in the 80s. Because I feel like the more you make it like a part of the story, the easier it'll be to also sell to that product, like the product company. Hey, we're using your product in our movie. Is it cool if we get like we already have it in the script, so we've already kind of written in like a commercial. Like, what do you think? And I'm sure that most companies would be like, okay, if it's already in the script, then yeah, no skin off our nose. Yeah, absolutely, use our product. Unless they feel like it's not going to get traction. Like if you're making like a short film or something and you have like no money, then they'd probably say no because they're like, who are you? I don't know. Like you using our product won't really matter. But if you're like a big studio, you're Warner Brothers or something, there's no reason you can't like integrate Pepsi into your movie or integrate Coca-Cola into your movie and have it make sense. Like, and have it be like product play, even if it's bad. Like I think of The Nick, which was the like hospital show on Showtime that took place in like the 1900s. And there's a scene where the main character played by Clive Owen has a cocaine problem as a doctor. And there's a point where he runs out. He gets, I think, kicked out of the hospital, or he just like doesn't have access to his cocaine. Either way, he's jonesing. And so he grabs a Coca-Cola bottle and is trying to extract the cocaine from the little bit of drops left from this Coca-Cola bottle he got out the trash. And he holds the Coca-Cola bottle up to the light so that, we as the audience can see that it's a Coca-Cola bottle. But I'm like, also, that's still product placement. It's not necessarily the most positive product placement because it's definitely leaning on the history of Coca-Cola having cocaine, a lot of traces of cocaine in it. But Coca-Cola's on the screen. We're selling Coca-Cola.
Well, even with going back to Psych, where this all started, with the Ford Fusion, there's an episode where Lassie gets it. It's the episode I was talking about where Sean gets shot, and he's just talking about his new car, and he's like, don't jump on the hood of my car. This is a blah, blah, blah. Like, he's straight up advertising for the car. However, in Dead Bear Walking episode, he mentions the GPS. Yeah, he's like, the GPS can even tell your horoscope. It can tell you whatever you want. It's actually pretty natural because his sister's there, and he's trying to impress her. Because he just got this new car and he's telling her like, hey, look at this cool new car your big brother has. So that's a better product placement to compare to like just episodes later where they do this. And it's like, okay, was the detailing of his car necessary while you find out that one of the people you work with is probably bleeding out in a trunk? Is that a good usage of your time? Or even when Gus is freaking out, he's like, "Oh my god, this feature's broken." Talking about his car, like, yeah, okay, I can begin to see you flowing around, running the. He's yelling, he's panicking. It's fitting in the moment a little bit. There's another moment where Lassie's talking about his car who got stolen, and he's like, "This is a blah 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 blah," this and that. And it's like, okay, but though, like, that's going a little far. I know you like your car, but that's a commercial there. So there is a way to do it and there's a way not to do it. And in one show, there are great examples of that. And I mean, Ford actually is in a lot of shows too. It's in The New Girl. They have this one where it's clearly product placement, but it's funny. And it's a Ford car again. And it's Coach. Coach is in the front seat. He just got a car. Nick is in the passenger seat. And Schmidt and, oh my God, Lamont. What's his name of the character?
Well, Lamont Morris is the actor.
Lamont Morris. It's so funny. You usually remember the character's name. I now remember Lamont Morris because he won his Oscar.
Did he?
Was it an Oscar he won? He won some award. Damn it.
He may have won an Emmy.
He won an Emmy. What's his character's name?
I don't know.
I can hear it in my head. Anyway, Coach is talking about his new car. And it's clearly product placement. They're in the car, the way it's set up, the zooming on the things. And Coach is like, "Oh, this car turns me on, a little bit." And Schmidt's like, "What? No, I've never been." And, Lamont's character goes like, "Oh, yeah, that happened to me once." And Schmidt goes like, "When was this?" It's funny. It's a funny scene. When I watch it again, it doesn't feel like product placement. I know it is in the back of my head. But between Schmidt and Lamont's character, it's genuinely funny, and Schmidt's faces distract you because he's making this like disgusted face, like, "A car turned you on? Why didn't I know about this? That's disgusting." It's a funny scene and you forget it's product placement, and it's all very simple. And again, that's a way to do it even when it is clearly product placement. But when you're just saying a tagline of the brand or of the store, of the restaurant, and it's straight up what they have written on the menu or on their commercial, it's like, you couldn't try to like hide it.
See, that's the thing, because it's like, even as you just made me think of, I don't know if you've seen this movie, Demolition Man.
No.
This movie with Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes. It's old, like a 80s action movie or a 90s action movie, but it's super fun actually. It's the premise being that it takes place in the future, but in a very liberal future where like things like the society has been super pacified. They don't have sex anymore because they don't want to transmit any sexual risk transmitting diseases. So now they use like headsets.
Oh wait. Yes.
You get fines for cursing. All the cars are super safe because they have goo and stuff.
Wait. Is that the one where who was the main actor in it?
Sylvester Stallone was the main
He
character.
got I remember this part. He got knitting. They give you like a special hobby, knitting, and they gave Wesley Snipes' character like info, like historical facts about like guns and weaponry or fighting or something like that, like straight up like assassin style. And he's like, "Why'd you give him that? He's already a trained killer. Why would you give him more of that?"
There's conspiracy. But in there's like the biggest product placement is that they're like, "Oh, we're gonna go to a fancy restaurant. We're gonna go to Taco Bell." And Sylvester Stallone's like, "The fuck, Taco Bell? What are you talking about?" It's like, "No, we'll see. They survived the franchise wars, and Taco Bell was the victor. So now every restaurant's Taco Bell," which is actually super interesting too, because depending on the cut of the movie, in other countries that don't have Taco Bell, they changed it to be Pizza Hut instead. So depending on your cut of the movie, it's either Taco Bell or Pizza Hut. But either way, but it's like a part of the movie, because it's not like they go to Taco Bell and then they go get like Taco Bell food. They go to what is supposed to be Taco Bell and get like it's still like the logo's futuristic, the food is futuristic. It's still very much it's Taco Bell in that world. We only know it's Taco Bell because they call it Taco Bell. So I'm like, that's really cool, because it's not a product, like it's only product placement in name only, because it's not like we're seeing Taco Bell food or stuff you could get, but we're talking about Taco Bell. So now you're thinking to yourself, you know what I should get after this movie is over? I should get some Taco Bell. I'm in the mood for a quesadilla, like quesadilla or a gordita crunch, something like that. Like, So it still works.
Yeah.
Even though it's like completely like not really related to the product that much.
Yeah, and a lot of places like do fast food like that. Oh, what about, would you count, even it is part of the story, Harold and Kumar's goes to White Castle?
Oh.
Because technically White Castle is like it's the like character, almost a character in itself.
I would say yes and no, because I think like I think that movie has made like White Castle way more popular than it ever was going to get on its own. Because it's such,
I remember
like,
I've never eaten at one, but I've walked into one and
I've never eaten at one either. I've seen them before, but I've never eaten at a White Castle ever. But that movie does a big thing to like sell you on the idea that White Castle is just like the best fast food restaurant that ever existed, down to even that my favorite scene with Anthony Anderson being like the little like onions that are like flavor crystals that just pop in your mouth, makes you want to burn this mother down. Come on, Pokey, let's burn this mother down.
And that clip has lasted so long. Every time it's like, when you're fed up with your coworkers, when this is that, when you're ready just to burn down the government. So that scene like lives on. But yeah, I've been in one and the smell of it was disgusting enough. And I went with somebody who was like, yeah, this place is great. And they were like ate 3 of those like sliders, sandwiches. I don't know what they were. I don't know. I don't think I talked to them much after that. I was so disgusted by their choice of food.
I mean, but I do see what you mean. I mean, it's the same thing with like one of the product, like one of the movies on these lists that is also considered like heavy product placement, or at least as they consider it, is Mac and Me, which is a movie that I believe is made by McDonald's. I'm pretty sure, but it's like blatant with McDonald's product placement. Like McDonald's being one of the main ones. There's like a dance sequence in McDonald's, and it's like, yeah. But like maybe I might be wrong. It's just seeing the Mac and Me, because I've never seen it. I've only seen like clips, bits and pieces. But hearing Mac and Me, I'm like, Mac, like McDonald's. Yeah. But I could be wrong. But it's like, I feel like because White Castle's a part of the plot, like that's I think that's why they chose White Castle of all restaurants, because it'd be the equivalent of like if there was a movie about hunting down RC Cola. Because like RC is like the least popular brand of cola that you wouldn't even really think about it as like a even though it is a product that exists, you wouldn't be like, oh man, they're selling out to the big wig companies. It's like, no, it's RC. Who the fuck cares?
Is Tab still around? Is the soda brand Tab still around or no?
I don't think so.
Because I know that anytime there's a flashback of like 80s or early 90s, it's Tab and RC Cola. Tab and RC. That's always at every picnic,
it
barbecue,
is owned
anything.
by Coca-Cola, but it was discontinued actually in 2020. Kind of like December 31st, 2020 is when it was discontinued.
So that was all those Tab was a product placement. At first I was like, is that just like they're trying to have like a status of like time, you know, like, oh, there's a Rubik's Cube, you know, now you know it's the 80s. There's a Tab right there. That's definitely 80s or 70s. Okay, so wow.
Well, Coca-Cola still owns it, so that's probably how, like, for movies that do take place in like back in the day when they want to have Tab cans, like Coca-Cola probably still makes them, and then they'll just be like, "Well, we'll just put Coke in it if you have people drink stuff out of it. It won't be Tab, but it will at least have the branding." Which is like,
sure. I like RC. RC's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's still going. It's not, RC hasn't been discontinued. They still make RC.
RC is you know what's the most popular soda? Dr. Pepper. Which makes sense. Have you ever met a Dr. Pepper drinker? They're insane.
No, but I imagine that there's tons of them because they still keep making new varietals of Dr. Pepper all the time.
But it's not even like crazy varieties or anything like that. It's just, here's Dr. Pepper with a little vanilla. I have a friend, she drinks Dr. Pepper, and literally, you could gift her a Dr. Pepper, and she'd, like, cry. She loves it so much. Every time I met somebody who loves Dr. Pepper, they love it. They love it with their soul. And it's interesting.
Like, so, you say that, but here's some of the varietals that we got, right? There's a Dr. Pepper Berries and Cream. Don't know where that's at, but it was in 2006 is when it was shown, and then it didn't come back till 2022. There's also let me see, what's another one like there's Dr. Pepper Dark Berry, which I have seen. Apparently is released in summer to promote the film Spider-Man Far From Home.
Oh, okay.
It was later brought back in 2022 to promote Jurassic World Dominion. Then there's Strawberries and Cream. Then there's Dr. Pepper Creamy Coconut.
Ew.
And then there's Dr. Pepper Blackberry. That's what I'm saying. It's like what?
See, that's not fair.
Especially throws me off. I've never seen the coconut one ever.
I'm hoping it was like we're gonna send out a few bottles into stores and see how it works. I don't feel like it worked well.
It was only for a limited edition for the summer of 2024. So last year.
So it happened recently. I feel like they probably pulled it quick.
And then the most newest one is the Dr. Pepper Blackberry. That's a new one that just debuted last month, February 2025.
I've seen that one in stores. I've seen the Dark Berry in stores. I've seen the strawberry and cream one too. Those I've seen.
Yeah, I've seen that one too. I'm like, ain't nothing wrong with regular Dr. Pepper. I'm good. I don't think
I've ever seen a Dr. Pepper drinker drink the various Dr. Peppers. I've always just seen them like Dr. Pepper. Like that's the soul and the bread and butter.
Soda's an interesting one because there's so many like movies with soda product placement. We already talked about like Pepsi and Coke, but like there's others too where there's so much soda. And I wonder if that's a thing. Like maybe it's because it's in movie theaters, because you can't go to any damn movie theater and not see product placement for soda. If you go to AMC, you're seeing Coca-Cola sold somewhere, goddammit. Like they are going to make sure Coke is at the concession stand. And if you go to Regal, I think that's their Pepsi.
Yeah.
And they're going to make sure you know it. You go get you a damn Pepsi.
I see it a lot in like when there's nerdy movies, it's Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew's always the nerdy drink.
Well, that's because it's the game of choice for gamers. The game of choice. The drink of choice.
No,
for gamers.
It's a drink of choice for gamers, but if the character is even slightly nerdy, they're wearing glasses, it's Mountain Dew. It's always Mountain Dew. And it's like, it's closer to the gamer or like even the comic book reader people, but not just like a regular, the character they're trying to make into a nerd.
Well, it's like, it's either one of two people when it comes to Mountain Dew. It's either the nerdy gamer character or just nerdy character in general, or rednecks. Like those are the two that like they associate Mountain Dew with. And that's not an unfair comparison, I feel like, all things considered. As a person who grew up in the South especially, that's fair. Because a lot of my friends that were like the NASCAR watchers and like hunting on the weekend, every other weekend with their dads and stuff, they were the Mountain Dew drinkers. And they drank a lot of it. That and 7-Up.
I like 7-Up.
I don't mind 7-Up. I think it's fine. It's like the ultimate drink of choice for apparently if you want to make punch at a black family social. 7-Up, like regular 7-Up and Hawaiian fruit punch in a bowl. There's your punch. Maybe add some lemons or some orange or something.
I want to make the 7-Up cake, like we used to make at the church basements.
Yeah. I haven't had 7-Up cake.
You know, it's a strong product placement, and something I never saw until I started watching old shows again, because I started like going through older shows recently. Red Bull totally slid under the radar when I was growing up, and I rewatched some episodes of Reba, and it started in the second season. Red Bull started being in every single episode of Reba. Some way somebody was holding it. It's in the background. It's in the cases. Every single episode had Red Bull. And it actually starts with Cheyenne and Van going off to college. Reba comes up. First appearance in the whole new season is like, oh, they have a Red Bull machine downstairs. Look at what I got. And she's acting all crazy and hyper. She's like, it gives me so much energy. She's like, I'm going to race you. And suddenly, and now every episode, there's somebody holding a Red Bull. Somebody's getting a Red Bull out of the fridge. And yeah, that one slid under the radar for me for a very long time. I never noticed it because they got it in like...
Well, that's because when we were growing up, Red Bull wasn't how it is now. Like I actually had a conversation about this, about like how like Red Bull for the longest time was like, it existed and it was popular, but Sobe and something else. They were like the big companies that were like extreme sports and all that shit. And then like later on, Red Bull and Monster came out of nowhere and just swept that entire thing, and Rockstar like swept the entire industry to become like the new faces of that market. But before then, they were just kind of tucked into these other little areas like shows and movies and all types of stuff. And now Red Bull is everywhere.
I will give
so is Monster and Rockstar.
Yeah, but Red Bull really put all their money into like shows. Let's see. I had a list. It's in The Office, How I Met Your Mother, Big Bang Theory. It's also been in The Bachelor, Jersey Shore, Keeping Up with the Kardashians. So it's been in reality TV too.
Yeah, which I feel like reality TV is the easiest to get product placement in because it's reality. So anything that exists in the real world is just going to be in there anyway. So you might as well pay for the products.
That's very true.
Here's a question for you, because I thought about this, and this is something that's like kind of like I don't think most people do think about. Is medication product placement? Because there's a lot of movies that talk about a lot of medications, things like Adderall, for example. Tylenol also gets a lot of shout out. Adderall especially, because there's a lot of movies and set pieces that talk a lot about, like, you know, from college students' perspectives or whatever, of like, I'm taking Adderall.
Fair enough. I think that one's more fear mongering. If any, I don't think it's product placement. That's fear mongering, because it's always like, you take Adderall? How could you? Or you're taking Adderall? That's cheating. Or only college students take Adderall to stay up all night. I need Adderall to fucking wash my dishes.
The name, though. So Adderall knows their name is being used, regardless of if it's in a negative connotation or positive.
Is Adderall the generic brand or the? I think
so.
I think Adderall might be the brand name, or it's the actual thing.
Let's see. Adderall. They're trade names for a combination drug containing 4 salts of amphetamine.
You don't need to read what it is out loud, man.
I'm just saying, people know. The people know.
Not surprisingly, not a lot of people know. So like, yeah, you don't need to tell people what I'm on, okay?
They didn't know that part. You just said that. We're talking about in general.
Oh, I talk about being on Adderall because like people are like, oh, because people have a stigma. Not stigmatism. I have a stigmatism. Have a stigma about people being on Adderall. They're like, oh, how can you be on Adderall? Or like, what's it like? You must be hyper focused. No, I now remember to brush my teeth and wash my dishes and like vacuum my apartment. That's what I use Adderall for. I don't get crazy and wild. I do domestic chores. That's Adderall for me.
Yeah, no, it says even here on WebMD, this combination medication is used to treat attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, aka ADHD. So it has its uses, you know what I mean?
Right, but I'm saying like
just like any other medication, the abuse of a medication is the problem, not necessarily the use of a medication.
Right, but I'm saying more so when you see it in movies and stuff or TV shows, it shows the abuse of, then like you should try Adderall compared to like I could give you like other medications.
That's true. Yeah.
Like Viagra. Viagra definitely got product placement going on.
See, yeah. Viagra is another one where it's like that gets heavy product placement. They're always talking about Viagra. Either that or Cialis.
Yeah.
but more so
I can
Viagra
definitely say
popular.
I watched Sex and the City, and Viagra kind of got a shout out for like a whole episode where it was showing Samantha was taking it, and it shows like, oh, you can also take it as a woman and it has this side effect. And it's like, okay, no, that was product placement right there. Like, yeah, because it's like, oh, Viagra's only for men. But also, look, it can be used for women. You should talk to your doctor so you can have these same experiences. And it's like, this is a push for Viagra for women. You're trying to make it for women too. Which, like, I applaud you. But, like, no, you guys are mostly for men. We'll leave that to the men.
Yeah, which product placement in for medications, I feel like it gets a little tricky because you're right, though. There's a lot of, most of the time a medication is referenced in movies and television, it's often not positive. Or if it is positive, it's not very pointed. Like because you'll be in a hospital and they'll be talking about Tylenol, but they're talking about just the generic version of Tylenol, not the very specific, like, here's the bottle with the label on it so you can see that it's the brand.
Tylenol is a brand. Tylenol is the brand.
Yeah, Tylenol is the brand, but I mean, like, they'll like say like the medical, because I know there's like medical jargon that is Tylenol, but it's not called Tylenol in the hospital. It's called something else.
Yeah, it's called this. I don't know. I don't know. I'm bad with normal words. Try to give me the same medical words.
Because
Tylenol was referenced in Hot Tub Time Machine too. Just watching just really random crap lately. All right, I've tried not to like pay attention. So Hot Tub Time Machine 2, there's a moment where they take Adam Scott, going full circle there, to the hospital, and he took a drug and she pumps him full of like nanobites to get rid of like the drugs in his system. But then they're like, oh, it was Ladybug. It was just a sticker. And she's like, oh yeah, we usually just prescribe two Tylenol and that fixes everything. That was blatant advertising there. You don't need nanobots. You just need 2 Tylenol and you'll be all right.
But it's like, yeah, I like that's one that's like tricky because it's almost always like I think that's the one that gets the pass because medication almost is always a part of the plot because it has to be. There's no other way for you to talk about medicine unless like the story's about like the medicine, I guess. But otherwise, like, why are we talking about medicine if you're not at a hospital ailing in some way, shape, or form, or like the seller of said drug? Otherwise, there's no reason to talk about it.
That's true.
Like socially.
That is an easier way to just get something across when it comes to either ibuprofen or Tylenol. Acetaminophen? No. That's another drug.
Yeah, well, acetaminophen is like what's in like cough medicine and stuff. So like
so that's something things like that. So there is something like that. Yeah, you never hear the medical jargon. You just hear the brand name. Same with like Q-tips. Q-tips is a brand name.
Mm-hmm. Here's the last one I'll hit you with that and we don't really talk about this much on this podcast, but technically it is also pop culture. Is product placement in sports. Ooh. Because it's technically still media. But it's like different because really no one says anything about the product. You just got to wear it. You got to put it on your body and that's it. Your job's done. We see LeBron wearing some Jordans. Job complete. You did it. just put on these Jordans. Or
we see football players after the Super Bowl wearing Gucci sunglasses.
Right. You
guys are walking away. There's that whole line, I'm going to Disneyland. After that joke made. That's from the 80s, though. 80s? 80s or 90s. That still lives on to this day, where it's like, oh, people win the Super Bowl? Let's go to Disneyland. And, you're right, wearing like Jordans, Nike brand, Adidas, eating, drinking certain things, ending up on the Wheaties box. That's Olympic.
Yeah, which, well, it's only interesting because it's one thing to have product placement in your movies and stuff because you need because you still have to in some way like make sure that the brand is visible in some way, shape, or form. But your 9 times out of 10 is because the production is asking for the money. Like, hey, we'll put your product on display if you give us like sponsorship or money or product or whatever we need to make the movie or make the TV show. In the case of sports, it's the other way around. They're like, we will pay you to just wear the stuff. Cause we're the ones that need the support.
Yeah.
Like we need you, LeBron James, to walk out wearing our Under Armour shirts and have people see you wearing it so that, people possibly buy Under Armour because they know LeBron James wears Under Armour. Like, that's what we need.
And the sports and the reality shows kind of mix hand in hand where it's like you do the product placement where you're talking about like, oh, yeah, I only drink Red Bull after games or between games because that's what I need. And that's like real world product placement right there, man. Mm-hmm. Or being like, yeah, with the Under Armour shirts, they're like, yeah, I'll only wear this brand because, it absorbs my moisture the best. And it's like, who says moisture like that in normal day conversation? Actually, I have a coworker. She really hates the word moisture or moist. So we'll find any way to say it anytime she's around. We're like, this is moist. She gets like physically like cringes. But yeah, and like reality shows, it's the same way where like with Jersey Shore, they gave them Gucci handbags and they were so excited about Gucci. Actually, Chanel did it to like undermine Gucci because then they saw like, oh, trashy people wear Gucci to keep Chanel. It was a product ploy in a way to undermine the other brand. But that's what it is. And then they talk about their brand. They're like, look at my new Gucci bag. The way you're talking about it and holding things. Again, I go back to it feels more real depending on how you're holding an item. Because nobody's doing this stuff with their bags. Nobody's holding, again, I'm showing like this or claw.
And that's where it gets tricky though, because you can't, like, if you're holding it normal, you're not thinking about like label, but you have to think about that if you're being paid to promote this product. So now you have to think about, well, which way is the label facing, and how am I facing so that the label can be seen? And so it's always going to be a little unnatural, because you're like, that's why I say like the best way to do it is to integrate it into the script somehow.
Yeah.
So that way you don't have to worry about holding it or whatever. You're telling people to buy this product, or that this product is great, or that this product is cool. Like whatever you write in the script to say it. Like I remember I did, I've been working on Dizzy in Space, right? Like the show I want to promote that we did the table read for. And I wrote in a scene where Dizzy is like using like hover boots, like that have rockets in them. And he just has a throwaway joke where he's like, and they said that Nike deal was a waste of time. It's like, that's, because it's like the product in Nike Nike might be like, oh, cool. He referenced Nike. And, also we got to see the shoes because he's using like hover boots or whatever. It's like, and it doesn't feel as like forced, because it's like a part of the script. It's a part of the story. Right. It's a part of the world, as opposed to just randomly. Because they also, on this list is iRobot. There's a scene where Will Smith, puts his feet down to tie his shoe, and Converse is big in the screen. Like you can see that All-Star logo and everything.
Yeah. He not only that, he holds it up and goes like this.
Yeah, because he's gifted Converse shoes, and he's like, Converse All-Stars, 19 whatever, because he's all proud, and it's like, yes. And you too can get these shoes right now. It's like he should have finished the sentence with like, going over to Converse.com to get you the same pair.
Yeah, because I think if I recall correctly, he's like, these are classic Converse from like the year 19 something. And it's like classic Converse. Yeah, there's a whole line of them where it's classic Converse. Here's in every color. Yeah, there were just some that was just like.
Although that movie is riddled with product placement, because also the car he drives is an Audi.
Well, it's riddled with product placement because he's like rejecting the future world or the robots. So he's like, look at all my outdated stuff that has yet to be sold in the world you are in now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which I guess in a way could be a great way to have product placement in a futuristic movie, but for me it's boring. I like the idea.
It's heavy-handed.
It's also heavy-handed, extremely, but it's also like I like the idea of there's a game coming out soon called Intergalactic. It's being made by Naughty Dog, who are the creators of Last of Us and Uncharted, actually. And in the first trailer that they've put out, it's just like a CG trailer, so it's not gameplay. Well, they say it's like rendered in the gameplay, but it's like a cutscene. And in the cutscene, we see that the spaceship that she's flying is a Porsche spaceship with the Porsche branding on it, and she's playing her CDs on a Sony Walkman CD player and all that stuff. And there's so many products in the in the one cutscene we're looking at. But I like the idea of like, that's actually kind of cool to think that Porsche has evolved to be like, man, screw cars, spaceships is where it's at. We're making spacecraft now. And I'm like, I mean, that sounds like the legit production. And I wouldn't be surprised if one day, I don't know, in the year like 2060, when I'm like an old man, that like Ford is going to be making Ford spaceships now. That's the new thing.
Ford's not a great brand, but I think it's going to survive far much longer than it should. Holding on somehow.
I think Ford, out of all the American car companies, Ford is the one I like the most, I would say, as far as like their cars. But and mainly because also they make cars that aren't as much of gas guzzlers as GM does with the Chevys and GMCs.
Chevys, yeah, I was about to say that. Chevy shit. Never buy a Chevy.
The one time I ever rented a car and it was a Chevy, I spent so much money on gas. I was like, geez Louise, like it was a Malibu. I couldn't go nowhere without at least having to stop by a gas station, either coming or going, wherever I was going to. It was ridiculous. I was like, and I like, granted, most of the time when I rent cars, I get a Hyundai because they're the best cars. But if I have to get an American car, I prefer a Ford, me personally.
I've been looking because my car just holding on by prayers and thoughts at this point. And I keep looking at new cars, which are definitely going to get more expensive in the upcoming months. And I just keep looking at cars and thinking, I don't want a new car. Like, my car just again, holding on by thoughts and prayers. But, like, every other car I'm seeing, I'm like, oh, it's a gas guzzler. Oh, this is having this issue. Hondas are getting broken into every 5 minutes.
Those are only the ones with keys, with ignitions. Because I had to look that up because I was like, oh no, my car's at risk, like my old car. And it's like the only ones.
Didn't your old car get stolen?
It did, but that was not because the ignition switch. Is because the door handle was broken, so they walked in. But they did research to see what specific brands were getting stolen more likely, and it was all of the Hyundai models that still had ignition switches. So if you get a push to start, you should be fine, relatively anyway. I mean, there's still like a possibility, but it's less likely that your car will get stolen by the people who are just hijacking Hyundais because it's fun to do. Yeah, but but yeah, do you have any others? Like, that was the sports one was my last one to think about of like sports, especially like NASCAR and stuff. That's product placement to the max because the damn car is covered with stickers.
Technically, it is sponsorship, not.
That is true. That's different. It is sponsorship.
There is a fine line between sponsorship and product placement. I think product placement, they're trying to sneak it past you. Sponsorship is straight up, these people paid for me to have me branded like this. So I'm branded.
And I guess in a way that could also be like, yeah, like, cause like, I think with the players, it's more product placement, like, as far as like making sure they wear certain things. But at the same time, I think with the NFL specifically, they have specific sponsors that require the players to wear certain things.
I think when it comes to
on
like
game day, especially.
Yeah. I think when it comes to like on like game day or like when they're in their suits or holding that smart water, product placement style going on. Just like hold smart water, stuff like that. It comes sponsorship more so when they're straight up like, yeah, I'm wearing Nike, but Nike sponsors the whole team. So it's not really product placement. It's just Nike sponsoring a whole team, straight up giving the money to get this new clothing and equipment and stuff like that. When it comes to like I can't think of one player just holding a smart water, being like, nobody else is holding it, and like I have the bottle and label right there. I'm not even drinking out of it, but here it is. And again, holding it weirdly. But mine was mostly focused on Psych and just how much I love that show. For one, it is a great show. But how much product placement is in that show is ridiculous. And I never caught any of it because I was so engrossed in the show. And the last time I rewatched it, I just was like, I love this show again. But this time, every single car product placement it's mostly the cars. They're like heavy product placement in that show. I'm catching every single one. And I was like, wow, Ford really put its money in this show. They're like, we will keep giving you new cars if you just keep talking about them. So, like, Ford really went all for Psych, and you know what? I respect that. I like it. What about you? Yeah, you got any last one?
Not really. I think I tackled all the ones I can remember, the ones that I felt were, like, worth talking about. Maybe Star Kid. There's a really great shot in Star Kid where the main character's getting bullied, and he falls onto a table, and there's just Ben & Jerry's products everywhere. There's Ben & Jerry's ice cream in the middle. There's a Ben & Jerry's cup, because they went to like the before that he lands on a table where a bunch of girls went to Ben & Jerry's and got like ice cream and sodas and stuff. So when he lands on the table, Ben & Jerry's ice cream, Ben & Jerry's cup, Ben & Jerry's spoon, Ben & Jerry's thing. It's just littered with Ben & Jerry's. It's like, in case you bitches didn't know, Ben & Jerry's is delicious, and this is how this is how we know.
I have Ben & Jerry's in the freezer. I think I might eat some. Not product
Right,
placement.
exactly.
I just want ice cream.
I guess the only other
placement.
one is like thinking of ice cream, Ant-Man 2, right? Baskin Robbins. Was it Baskin Robbins or Ben and Jerry's? One of the two.
It was Baskin Robbins. It was Baskin Robbins in the first one too.
Yeah, it was like, hey man, Baskin Robbins always finds out. And it's like, that's actually kind of funny. I enjoy that like so much so. Yeah, that's like the one. Ice cream product placement though is fun. It's almost always fun. I don't think I've ever seen a bad ice cream product placement like,
because they can't just like hold it. They can't just hold ice cream there and like talk. Well, you're also freezing your hand. Like you're just talking there with the ice cream, and all of a sudden you're like, it's cold. You get to actually see what the ice cream looks like. You get to like almost enjoy the food. You're like, well, I do want some ice cream. You're right. I could go for some ice cream. That's proper subliminal messaging, and I'll enjoy it because I get ice cream in the end.
Because even that Star Kid scene, while it is blatant product placement, it did make me laugh because of how much there was. So I was just like, Jesus Christ.
And did you want ice cream a little bit afterwards?
Not really, but I did. Really? It did make me be like, you know what, man? Like, I'm glad. Good for, like, it did make me proud of Ben and Jerry's. I was like, good for you, Ben and Jerry's.
I'm always down for ice cream.
But that's our discussion about, jeez.
You good
Headphones
there?
Flung off my head. That's our discussion about product placement. And also me losing my headphones for a sec there. Comment below if you're watching this on YouTube. Tell us about your favorite product placement sections or product placement that you thought was ridiculous in your favorite movies and television shows. And if you're listening to this in the audio version, you can always email us at thefirstonestoDie@gmail.com or go on over to the YouTube channel and join in on the conversation of what's happening on the YouTube channel. It's all right there for you. But as we do with every episode, of course, socials. Alex, where can people find you?
You can find me at Alex and Nobody on TikTok, which is not surprising, still here. And on Instagram as well. You can also find the podcast the podcast, The First Ones to Die, on TikTok and Instagram, and those two are mainly ones our handle. So don't be surprised if you see Cheddar appear on them once in a while, because he's my sweet boy. You can also find our third host, who's not here, who we miss, and we will have next week, Mr. Jonathan Keys at Jonathan Keys, anywhere you please. Instagram. I don't think he has an X account anymore, or Twitter account. So it's just Instagram, and I think Blue Sky. Blue Sky.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the same flow, but he is on Blue Sky too. And we're excited to have him back. Like Jerome said, he was busy. He had more important things to do than us, which is sad face, but we did get to see him. We forgot to mention, we got to see him in January, where we got to see Wicked, which that should have been something we talk about. Well, we'll talk about when he's here. We'll talk
about that more next week when we have
when we got him with
in the same room together. Well, virtual room together.
But where are we finding you, Jerome?
You can find me at NotJeromeRett on Instagram, and also, if you haven't already, do go on over to the YouTube channel to see some other content that you cannot get on the audio streaming platforms. You can find things like video versions of all of the podcasts, book reviews, mini reviews, gaming content, all types of things. And we're gonna, be adding some stuff on there this year. So you're not gonna want to miss what's going up there onto the YouTube channel, The First Ones to Die. And if you're already subscribed, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And of course, hit the notification bell, favorite, like, share, tell your friends about the podcast if you like what we do here, because the more the merrier. We love it, so come on down. But with all that being said, tune in next week for something. We'll know when you know. But until then, have a good night, good morning, good evening, whenever you're listening to this, and we will catch you for the next one.